in being intentional about really helping them build identity while also being exposed, while also seeing the world and all of these different things, what are those experiences that we've been doing or can do, ideas that we can kind of just start today to try to help? Welcome to episode 4. This episode, we're all up here to talk about building confidence in our children and helping them navigate their unique identities in this world. We are, like many parents who have built a multicultural home for their kids. We exist in a world and we grew up in a world, we grew up in an environment and in cultures that our children are experiencing from a unique lens. And so in that sense, we don't have that same view or that ability to directly relate to them one-to-one. They can't relate to us one-to-one, either parent, which is a very unique situation. And so how do we not only expose them to our culture and all of those things that we talked about in season 1, but how do we help them build that confidence? So that as they're navigating 2 distinct cultural spaces, and they represent both, they feel comfortable, confident, and strong in their unique identity. Yeah. So I think one thing that I would love to kind of just start with is, in order to kind of build that confidence in our kids, we also have to be able to have a shared understanding between each other. So, I'd love to kind of just explore that a little bit and talk a little bit about, what were some of the things that you learned about each other that, right away you were like, this is something that is important and imperative in our household?
Well, I would say education, which is actually a pretty consistent thing between the two of us. Yes. We value education. I think lately, what we've uncovered, though, in terms of where we might have differences in opinions and ideas, is what the actual educational experience looks like. So I live by this whole proponent of like the world is your greatest classroom. And I only came to that perspective as an adult when I could afford to travel to different countries. So I told Brandon at one point, I am not going back to the Caribbean, not because I didn't like it. I love a good beach. I love a good drink. I love a good book. I love a nice vacation. However, I started to reimagine vacations and start thinking about trips. So all the things that I read in a book, I wanted to go to the actual place and experience it. And so for me, I've never subscribed to this idea that education was only through a book. It was through the life that you live, the things that you're exposed to, the people that you talk to, different foods that you might eat, understanding history, right? Which is, I always said if I was to go back to college or go back to school, I'd probably be a history major. So stepping out of art, because I studied a lot of art history, but now I'm interested in a wide variety of history. And even as I'm thinking about our child and how he'll be educated, I'm thinking about that with Brandon. We're ideating, we're making decisions. We still have somewhat of a slight difference in what that should look like. And that's been quite interesting to navigate because I'm all about creating this fluid, free-form environment where he can be exposed and learn all the things without a strict focus on academics out the gate. They're important, but not at 2. But,
I'm learning that aspect of it and embracing it. I'm definitely down with World being in the classroom too. It's just once he turned 2, I found out how much a plane ticket cost and said, whoa. You're not going to be free for this whole 2 years. I was ready to take him on all the trips, the educational trips at 2, but now we got a budget for it. But also just I love the education is a strong component, like Alicia said, and experiences. Looking forward to him. I grew up with a lot of different cultural immersions, whether it's East Indians, Latino, Italian, a lot of different friends and peer groups. So I'm also about diversifying his peer group as well. And then also, but still having a solid cultural enrichment of who he is is going to be vital and important, regardless of where he's at in life. So,
And I think that's kind of the big thing, right? Like the big picture is we love the education, we love the exposure, and I think all of us are very big on travel and you know, really getting to know people and understanding different cultures and things like that. But as our kids grow up and exist at the intersection of two cultures, how do we enable them to embrace that, find a sense of confidence in that, while we also kind of, I don't want to use the word inundate, but it's a lot of information about the world and about different cultures, and how does that kind of impact their sense of self when they're existing in a space where they're not necessarily around anyone who has the same cultural identity as them.
That was a good good point where I was going to say, like, something you kind of when you were sharing your experiences just growing up and such, just like it's kind of on the education lens, but just like giving the space to question, giving the space to research, you know, because as I've gotten older and again, getting into adulthood, parenting and stuff, right? I think it is very easy sometimes to, whether it be with education, it might be with religion or family structure, traditions, right? It's very easy to kind of subscribe and be like, hey, Mr. or Miss Child, right? Like, follow what we do. This is how this has gone. This is how we've done it for all this time, right? But I think what can be even more eye-opening is when you kind of allow your child to question certain things, right? And say, well, why do we do that tradition? Why is this important, right? And I think we, all the time, it was just kind of like, this is what you have to do. Like, let's subscribe. You know, you do it. And I think hearing some of the stuff from your upbringing, you know, where just history-wise, there was things questioning, right? Like some of the stuff you did with like learning your family history, right? You know, you got to dig in a little bit more, right? Whereas for other reasons, you know, sometimes about, you know, old pains and things that people are still working through, right? Some things weren't as shared, right? And sometimes it led to repeated decisions being made, right? Whether it be in life, whether it be medically, that sort of thing. But I think it's just kind of giving that space for your family to be able to invest, be able to research, to question. I think that's been something that we've been trying to cultivate more, right? Within reason, with our own family.
No, I think that's really profound, because I think if you have the knowledge, if you have the education, whether that's, you know, from an academic standpoint, like we've all talked about things that we've learned from either our school environment or from each other or from reading or whatever the case is, but that kind of real world, real life, just experience of interacting with your family members, hearing their stories, having things passed down, to your point, like explaining why. I think there's something that I want for my child. And again, this is me from my lens. I'd love to hear from people who actually have this identity of being a part of two cultures and growing up like that, and, you know, needing to kind of bounce between one side of your family and how that felt versus another side. But for my child, I want him to feel fully everything. Like, I don't want him to feel half and half. I want, because he's a whole person, right? Like, I want him to feel I'm African American and I'm Jamaican. And when I show up in spaces with my Jamaican family, I feel at home. And when I show up in spaces with my African American family, I feel at home. I understand this space. I know how to navigate it. And I love my identity. I love my culture. And, you know, I'm comfortable here, right? So that's really my hope. And I'd love to hear from others, you know, if you had that experience, or if you didn't have that experience. And if you did have that experience or you didn't have that experience, what would have helped? Like, what could your parents have done to to create that for you and to foster that for you, what because your relatives have done, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your grandparents, because that's definitely what I want for him.
But I think to that point, though, it does require some intentionality. And it's almost like going out of your way to making sure that the child has, the full experience. And so the Black experience is beautiful
And diverse.
and diverse. But sometimes I think naturally we limit ourselves in that. And there's a host of other people within the world that look different, that have different cultures, that have different ideologies. And I think there's something important about making sure that they have the balance in that exposure. We are people of faith. We're very religious and we are Christians. However, we don't want to create an environment where he doesn't feel like our child doesn't feel like he can be exposed to other religions, other beliefs, other faiths, right? Other ideas of this higher being. And, even with that, just again, and I'm not saying you have to get on a plane and go to these different places. I mean, we've seen temples in Thailand and we've seen temples in Cambodia. We've gone and we've had different even religious experiences within the Christian faith. But sometimes our books can help with that. Sometimes it's remembering your manners and being courteous to your neighbor that looks different. And then somehow you naturally cultivate a relationship. And it's sometimes it requires just looking at where you are in this journey and taking that thoughtful step to saying, you know what, let me go spend time with this person and spend time with their family. Because even my family, again, like y'all know this, my family is pretty diverse in itself. And again, it's not just the Black experience, it's many experiences. And I love that you had that experience even growing up. I don't think I've seen a lot of other cultures and different family dynamics, different faiths and beliefs as a child. Because, the West Indian community, especially in South Florida, is a very tight community. There wasn't any specific reason as to why we weren't exposed. It just wasn't a thing. We just, stayed within our little bubble. But as I've grown and as I've been exposed myself, I have such a deep appreciation for other cultures and other ways of life, which sometimes you find yourself adopting and giving yourself, without misappropriating anything. But sometimes, you do find yourself even making that connection with other groups. And I feel like these kids have so much in their hands now where they're by default not going to be closed off because they can literally press a button, right? And be in these and learn and be in these different spaces and places. But it does require, some intentionality and going out of your way to making sure that they're not just seeing the world and the Black experience from one single lens.
And I think that goes a lot of that goes back to what Omar was saying as well, of just like creating a safe space for them to question things, for them to, ask openly and be curious so that, it's not just a take it for what it is.
But also, too, making sure we can provide a network for ourselves as parents. I mean, he's can't drive. So, but we want to make sure we have friends and, diversify our peer group. But I always still want to make sure he's rooted in understanding the strength of him and his culture. So not to be against anybody else's, but to be proud of who he is and also learn and be embracive of others. Because the reality, too, is he's a child right now, and friends, as they grow in together, they're universal. But then society, when he gets older, starts to break people apart. And then you kind of go into your cliques and your safe spaces of your own people. But then hopefully you all come back when you get older and you're able to, be amongst, make your own choices. And that's how my life has kind of been. A lot of my diverse peer group on my block, grew up, got to middle school, high school, kind of broke apart, become adults. We catch up and connect.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say there's a lot of ebb and flows and how, life brings you together and situations, circumstances will bring you apart. But I did like the thing about just re-emphasizing, I will say as a younger millennial, I think we all have this interest in wanting to diversify our communities and stuff. But where are the days of when I used to see, my mom or other parents and stuff, like, they have a quick conversation at like school pickup or or trying to get together, have a little play dates. I mean, I know that stuff is happening. It's happening, but at least I don't see it as regularly, right? I feel like everyone's kind of stayed in their silos, right?
Or busy.
Yeah, or busy.
That's what I was going to say.
Or busy, right?
I think people are very busy.
People are busy, but I do think sometimes, like, we've been to birthday parties and such, right? And we've made other acquaintances with other parents and stuff like that. But I feel like everyone's kind of a little bit more reserved, right? And I think sometimes, honestly, the world that we live in, sometimes it makes us not want to open up, be vulnerable to those experiences, right?
The division is celebrated too in this type of society.
Well, right. That's the other end of it, right? Where it's like, okay, well, in this world that's kind of so murky, let me try and be very hyper vigilant about creating those local safe spaces in other groups that aren't automatically what I consider safe.
Yeah. I think one thing that is promising, if we're kind of looking at this from a different lens, is we are definitely in a high tension, high division period of time right now, for sure. When I look at our son's friend groups, which, I mean, at 5 years old, what is a friend group? But it's they're all friends, right? It's very diverse, based on where he went to kindergarten, and everyone is kind of just, it's a vibe.
It's a whole vibe.
It's a whole vibe, and I think it is very real that all the isms, the racism, sexism, all these things, they are taught things.
They are learned,
and I will say it's something that I experienced at a much younger age than Langston. Langston's already past my point. I remember being 2 and experiencing racism in a ballet class.
Oh, jeez.
And being aware that those girls will not sit with me. They do not like me because I'm Black. I was 2. Like, Langston is 5 years old, and he's in his classes holding hands with everybody, no matter what they look like, and everybody's hugging and excited to see him and all these different things. It's interesting, and it's a processing moment for me as I observe it, that even in this day and age, with everything that's going on, he's having that lived experience that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And of course, like, those conversations have to happen at some point. He's going to have these experiences at some point. But it does give me a little bit of hope to see that he's made it this far without a run-in.
Well, yeah.
He's made it further than I did.
And I mean, it is pretty scary to think about, because if I had to say, like, what's a daunting conversation that I don't want to, I'm anticipating will come, but it's like telling him about his Blackness and how sometimes that's perceived and received, because again, these children are so innocent, and they're just looking at them as other little people on a playground or at a play date. And so it's finding that balance, because it unfortunately will come. I hate that it will come, but it will come, right? Especially where we live. It is still a very interesting place.
Very divisive.
Very divisive. But ultimately, he has to exist in multiple worlds. And I want him to have the appreciation for culture and other ways of life and other ideas. And as Brandon said, but I want him to be confident in his Blackness. And I think that continues to happen with his exposure at home, with our peer group, with the way in which we articulate the world to him, right? And so it's like, it'll never be the perfect scenario, and all we can do is our best, while preserving his innocence. Like, I feel like that is the thing that is so important to me. Preserving his innocence in this crazy world, but then also helping to find the balance between all the things. Because I'll tell you, again, I've been to a lot of interesting places, and I just could never experience that in a book or on a YouTube video, right? And so it's truly finding the balance both near and far.
Yeah.
Cool. So shall we
Game
go
time?
into our game?
Game time.
It's game time. It's an exercise, guys. It's not a game.
Oh,
An exercise.
It's
Working
an
out.
exercise.
It's a team building activity.
okay.
Oh no.
Oh, I don't like
Oh no,
team
we don't.
building
Oh,
activities.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so the name of this game is My Child Thinks That This Is Normal. Okay, so we're going to do rapid fire of yes or no. All right. So, and we talked about our unique experiences with our long distance family. So, does your child have experience and do they think it's normal to have these long distance relationships with family?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'd
we're
say
everywhere. Yeah.
Yep.
Hearing multiple accents and dialects in the home,
Yes.
raise that one high.
Yes.
Diverse friend groups,
Yes.
Yes.
For us.
that's
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
normal, and I love that for them. Learning about multiple cultures,
Yes.
Yes.
super super normal.
Oh, we're on a streak now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. What about seeing people who look like them succeed?
Yes.
Yes.
They see us
Because right.
they see us.
You got a
We
whole
do
podcast.
it. They do it.
Yeah.
In this story.
Keep raising the bar.
Right.
The beach.
No, because we ain't in Florida.
Okay.
We're
First of
Laura.
all, there are
Yeah.
beaches in New York. I
No,
know
we're not
how
gonna talk
Florida
about them
people
beaches.
feel about
them,
this.
Hey.
them cold, rock infested,
That's probably
ridiculous. How dare you
That's
for
the
you
no-
for
that's-
setting me
that's-
up talking about are we going to the beach?
That's the
South Florida,
What is
nice,
happening?
sandy,
He's
white.
venting.
You know,
I mean, I
just
I'm from. Yeah, I don't go to the beach in Europe. But then also, hold on, I'm gonna shake it up. 2 seconds. That Black people don't swim.
that's normal.
no.
I don't think that
No, sorry.
he doesn't believe that.
He does not believe
No,
that.
does
he's-
not believe
he's been-
that.
We,
Yeah,
He's
'cause
been in swimming.
broke
Yeah, he's
that.
been in swimming.
we broke
And
that.
I grew
that.
up going to the beach in New York to set the record straight.
I will say
Y'all call
this.
those beaches though?
It was not North Shore.
Okay.
We're, we're,
Technically-
we're on an island. We are actually on an island.
South
that is
Shore.
true.
It's only us and
South Shore is sandy.
Manhattan are the two
Yeah.
places in New York that are on an island.
We are an island too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
But I like that the babies have been exposed to swimming because
Yes.
there's this stereotype out there that Black people don't swim, and that is not true.
Right.
That
And I
is
will
not
say,
true.
Baby
me and
swimming.
Omar had the experience growing up where both of us grew up around beaches, despite what he may say. And our son does not. So that is a difference.
Yeah.
That is a unique experience that he's having.
I love that. What about fresh seafood? So like the
He does not have that. Did you? Well, you didn't
It's
grow
a
up
no.
with that. It's a no for him.
That's enough for
Like
me.
he does to a certain
Yeah.
extent, but not in the way that I had the experience.
like going
growing up.
fishing.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, I didn't
fishing.
do that.
Like there was
Mm.
constantly crab legs around, crawfish around, all types of stuff. Like
Ah.
where
Just don't
I
know.
was very
Oh.
by his age I could I could
that's
crab
you
a
could
crab
fish.
claw. Okay, I could fish
Yeah,
and I could crack my own crab.
Now that you bring that up, yeah, let's add fishing to the list of things that
Okay.
because I've gone fishing a few times. I'm actually pretty good at it.
That's easy to do.
See, Brandon's gonna make it happen. The babies
No,
are
no,
gonna
no.
go
You,
fishing.
it's your idea, so you have to do it.
No, but
Oh.
you said that real affirmative. Like
You did.
gonna handle
You said it's
Like, you
easy.
did. Like,
Like that's
Yes,
easy.
that's-
I got a
that's
fishing rod in
easy.
my pocket.
I'm Brandon Ray.
I mean, I am, and then yes, I can. No problem. We
like,
will,
bruh, we're actually gonna go fish for our lunch after this.
we will, if you want.
This one is a okay. This one resonates with me. Does either one of these little humans think noise and loud music is normal?
Yes,
Yes,
ours
absolutely.
does.
Absolutely. He
We're gonna
listens,
know.
especially during
Yours
summertime.
Yours doesn't. Ours
It's not about
does.
things that's
Oh.
normal. He just don't like it.
Well, he doesn't like it, but it's very normal. Like
Yeah. So okay, normal.
yeah,
You
because
could do a little mid.
we yell. We're not fussing at each other, but it'd be like, "Hey, Brandon, bring me the milk."
Hey!
Or like when he goes to visit my parents and my dad has his radio on
Mm.
24/7
Yeah.
on the highest volume
Yeah.
known to man. And that is like our reality.
Yeah, my family's noisy. We're noisy people.
Yeah.
He's used to it. He's used to music. We're
I
very
blast the music.
we're music people at
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
He's been listening to
Soca.
carnival stuff all
the way to school.
all summer. So that,
Yes.
yeah, so has.
That's
He
his
is
and
vibe.
he'd be in the back.
very
He'd be like,
cultured.
"Hey."
He does. He
now
does.
you got to take him to carnival.
Mhm.
That's right.
When he's older.
He gonna leave.
Yeah, when he's a lot older.
Well, I think that's our time. Thanks so much for joining us this
Thank you so
episode.
much.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.
Thanks for joining us as we celebrate love, family, and legacy across cultures.
There's always a seat for you at our table. So remember to like, share, subscribe, and give us your thoughts as we want to hear your stories.
Spreading joy, sending love. Thanks for joining us on the Collard and Collard Greens podcast.